Our show here with our last segment, our Bookster segment. Bookster is a website for book lovers and so much more. Joining us via Skype is Michael Guillen. He is an Emmy Award-winning science reporter, former ABC News science correspondent, and author of The End of Life as We Know It, Ominous News from the Frontiers of Science. Welcome, Michael.
Good morning. It's good to be with you guys.
Thanks for joining us. And Michael, I'll start with the title of your book. Why write such an ominous book?
Well, I really didn't want to write the book. It was the publisher's suggestion. And as I thought about it, I thought, yeah, we are at a crossroads right now in life. I'm a baby boomer, and so I was part of the first generation that lived through the consequences of the invention of the nuclear bomb. And to some degree, that really marked the beginning of life as we knew it back then. But what we're dealing with now is even more extraordinary than that, and I explain it in the book. I deal with four very large topics which are threatening our way of life. It's not pie in the sky, it's not in the future, it's right here and right now. The four are the World Wide Web, artificial intelligence and robots, the issue of privacy, which concerns surveillance technology, and finally genetic engineering. And so it's not hyperbole, it is the end of life as we know it. I have a 19-year-old son, and he's certainly going to be living in a very different world than I did when I was 19.
So what was the main takeaway that you wanted the readers to get from your book? What was just distill sort of the main goal for you?
I think the main goal, Carrie, is for people just to be aware of things, of things that are going on right now. For example, people are very aware of what's going on with the World Wide Web. It was invented by Tim Berners-Lee, now Sir Tim Berners-Lee, British scientist, and his intention was to help bring the world together. Well, as we know, it's ripping the world apart. Social media has not turned out to be the thing that we hoped it would be, about bringing people together and encouraging world peace and so forth. Artificial intelligence and robots. Right now, I'm living in Dallas, Texas right now, and news was just last week that some people are trying to start the first brothel using sex robots. And it seems to have been voted down, but we'll see. We also have the situation with artificial intelligence threatening people's livelihood, taking away jobs. Now, the hope is that artificial intelligence will create more jobs than they kill, and that's a possibility, but it doesn't look very likely for various reasons that I explain in the book. And then there's a whole issue of privacy. We really have no privacy anymore. That's the bottom line, and that's very, very disturbing. And then finally, genetic engineering. There are scientists right now in California and Minnesota who are creating what are called pig-human and sheep-human chimeras. These are animals that are part human and part sheep and pig. The motive seems to be very noble. It's to create vital organs like livers, kidneys, heart tissue, for example, for people who need them, who are awaiting donated organs. And so it seems very, very noble. But on the other hand, what it's doing is it's raising the possibility that we'll create animals, sheep and pigs, for example, that can think like humans. So imagine that. So my purpose of writing the book was just to open people's eyes to the things that are going on right now.
So we just have a couple minutes, and I just want to get your quick thought, because you did start talking generationally, and you said, you grew up, there's a generation that grew up under a cloud of nuclear annihilation. You talked to people who grew up during the Vietnam War. They felt like that was the end of the world. So why is this moment feel like it's actually different?
It's different because what we're doing now is not just introducing weaponry and threats, external threats. We now have the capability of going into the very DNA of our existence and changing creation from scratch. There are scientists right now who are part of a project that are intending to create animals and organisms from scratch, just sprung from the human imagination. So this is just an entirely different era, unlike anything else we've done. It's the end of life as we know it. I'm not saying it's the end of life, but it certainly is the end of life as we know it, and I explain that in the book. But it does have an optimistic end. I write a final chapter where I say this, and I can conclude by simply saying this. All of these innovations are the result of human intelligence. And the question is, where does human spirituality fit in? If we can do something, should we just simply do it? Or do we ask the question, should we do it? And that's where we need spiritual wisdom. And so I offer suggestions about how we can face a more optimistic future, what each of us needs to do in order to steer us towards a great rather than a grim future. This is Bold TV, so I think this book is really a call to arms for people to be bold, be aware of what's going on, and then be bold about standing up and contributing human wisdom to help steer us towards a great and not a grim future.
Sure. No, I think that's a great message to not be afraid. And I guess my question is, so all these issues that you mentioned, in some respects, isn't it just really a continuation of what we'd already seen in the past? So, for example, on the issue of genetic GMOs, genetically modified organisms, I think there's a lot of fear-mongering that happens among some people who refuse to buy any food in the grocery store that's marked that way. But we've always been genetically modifying our wheat, our crops, everything. And evolution is a natural process of what's always happened in Earth's history. And communication and social media, it's really just, I think, a manifestation of what was already there. It's just a more light speed form, because you had all kinds of, really diatribes and angry things being printed, since Gutenberg and even before that on the cave walls. So to me, it seems like, isn't it just actually just more of the same thing? It's just got a different form.
I wish that were true, Carrie, and it isn't. I mean, we've never had this kind of connectivity. You talk about, the printing press was certainly revolutionary, but we've never connected the world the way we have now, and that has some really severe consequences. That's not just a continuation of something else. In terms of genetic engineering, it's not just a continuation of selective breeding, which you're right, we've done for forever. We are now able not only to meld similar species, which we can do with selective breeding, which we've been doing for a long time, we can now meld together very disparate species, for example, tomatoes with fish genes. So this is just completely, and I explained the difference between what we've done in the past and what we are doing now. And I think you'll see if you read the book that this is not just a continuation. This is really a discontinuity, and we are really facing challenges, shall we say, that we've never faced before. And we'll see how we deal with them.
Yeah. Well, Michael, thanks so much for this provocative book. We hope our viewers will make sure to check it out, and we hope you'll come back on Bold TV, because this isn't going away.
Certainly not.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. Congratulations on the success of Bold TV, Carrie.
Thank you, Michael. Really appreciate it.